Wow, beautiful voices there. Q Band making for entertainment treat this Friday morning right here on Power Breakfast. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. We continue the news review. Of course, we'll continue enjoying the music. Plus, we have a lot more in store for you. You'll get to enjoy a lot more music from Q Band and from elsewhere during this show. Remember, the hashtag to use is Power Breakfast. Twitter handle at Citizen TV Kenya. My Twitter handle is at Freddie Ndimuli. I'm here with my panelists, Amina Mohammed, President, Law Student Society of Kenya. You are on Twitter, I assume?
Yes.
I forget Snapchat for now, but on Twitter, what's your Twitter handle?
Amina_Malyun. Amina_MALYUN. Malyun.
Okay, if you got that one.
It's just Amina Malyun Mohammed.
You can engage Amina on Twitter as well. We also have Mary Mwangi.
Yes.
You are on Twitter.
Yes, I am, but I'm not that active. But I will be on a podcast. I'll be giving you that information very soon.
On a podcast?
Yes, and a blog as well, so you'll be able to reach me from there.
I'm sure you can trace her on Twitter as well. You can also engage Mary Mwangi on Twitter. Probably there's some questions you may want to ask with regard to the discussions we're having, and probably she may say something that you do not really agree with, and you can challenge her directly there. Of course, be nice. Kakai Kissinger, you're also on Twitter.
Yes, I am at Kakai Kissinger.
At Kakai Kissinger, that's simple.
That's simple.
And Eric Ojoy?
I'm at Sawanjohi.
At Sawanjohi.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Sawanjohi.
Interesting. We'll continue looking at the headlines. Now we want to look at the big one, the biggest discussion we've been having for the past 48 hours or so. And it's what is featured on the top strip of the Standard this Friday. President ODM reject bid by MPs to raise salaries. Uhuru vows he will not sign bill approving higher salaries for MPs. NASA leaves the decision to the discretion of members, but curiously, ODM, which is an affiliate member, says it does not support pay hike. We do have that story on Citizen TV as well. I don't know if my director can help me with this. Yes, if my director can assist me with that, the story on Citizen TV as well, to do with MP salaries. If we have it, we could play it now.
It's a call that was started by Homa Bay woman representative who also sits in the Parliamentary Service Commission, Gladys Wanga, echoed by newly elected Kiambu woman representative Gadono Mushamba. The call has become too loud for the head of state's ears.
And there cannot be a class of citizens in Kenya who believe that they are servants more than all of you sitting here. And they will demand more than what the law provides them. Even before they have been sworn in.
The MPs elect claiming their job is a costly affair that needs every penny of the 710,000 shillings a month the last house was getting before SRC slashed it to 621,000.
Bura constituency is 13,000 square kilometers. It is 300 kilometers apart, just that constituency alone. You can't deny me the right to visit and see the situation of my people because I have the role of representation. Sarah earns 40,000 shillings per sitting, and she denies me 5,000 shillings.
And Sarah Serem should be arrested because she has broken the law. Totally, she has broken the law totally and clearly. She cannot go behind when the house is on recess, when we are busy campaigning, and go start gazetting things that she has not consulted.
And there's a choice Kenyans must make.
Is it better to have a well-resourced and independent parliament that is paid well, or you want to have underpaid parliament, you pay members of parliament poorly so that they can become corrupt? Do you want a corrupt house?
Sources at SRC told Citizen TV that the Parliamentary Service Commission had written to them seeking a raise of MP salaries and allowances. SRC has, however, ruled out such a possibility. MPs who are due to be sworn in next week now plotting how to get back their old benefits that President Kenyatta vows to block.
Therefore, Parliamentary Service Commission that set the salary that members of Parliament currently enjoy should actually be the one with the responsibility of deciding how much will the members earn.
Even as I wait for the Supreme Court to rule, if it rules in my favor, I am saying before you, I swear I shall not sign that law.
Kiambu Woman Representative Gathoni Wamuchomba has since apologized and retracted her higher pay demands after social media backlash.
So anything to do with salaries discussions in Parliament, for me, whatever Saraserem will deliver to us, I will gladly and humbly accept it and move on.
ODM, through its executive director Odoro Ngwen, has disowned Gladys Wanga clamor for a fat salary as a personal greed that does not have the party blessings. Sam Gitoko for Public Press News.
Well, I don't know. Am I the only one who seems to empathize with these members? Because a pay cut, by any standards, must be painful. And the people who served in this parliament for the last 2-3 terms, 10th parliament, 11th parliament, they got to enjoy a higher salary, they got to enjoy more mileage allowances, they got to enjoy those seating allowances, 5,000 shillings every time they went into the plenary, 5,000 shillings every time they sat in a committee of parliament. Now all that is not there. Am I the only one who feels that? Surely, if you got a pay cut, Mary, you would feel the pinch.
If cutting your pay, if you're cutting your pay to 610 and you're calling that a bad slash, I mean, all of us want to be in Parliament if that's the case.
No, look at
secondly, the members of Parliament, the lady from Kiambu,
yes,
Gathoni Wamuchomba. Gathoni Wamuchomba is a new elected women representative. She applied for the job knowing that there is an incoming salary cut, and she continued to apply for the job. This Saraserem announced this 4 months earlier, and the hypocrisy of our members of Parliament and greed. They did not comment. None of them was seen to comment about it during the electioneering period. All of them were playing humble and saying, "Tafadhali nipigieni kura." The hypocrisy, really.
Fred,
okay.
They are all united across the divide on issues money. And this is something about our character that is very uncomfortable. When it comes to things money, we are all on the same side so long as we're gaining. We elected them to represent us, to bring about development. Let them show us that they are worthy of these salaries, that they are worthy of these increments, that they are worthy of these little allowances. Then we have no problem. But if they actually understand the fact that Kenyans are now beginning to understand that these individuals are there to represent us, to follow the law, that they're supposed to understand that we threw them out. Many of them are first-coming MPs. They were not there before, and we can easily vote them out. I know I sound very harsh, but they are our representatives, and that title they have before them, honorable, is what I expect from each and every one of them. And I'm very glad Gathoni Wamuchomba has actually apologized.
Well, she had to beat a very hasty retreat. Before that, she had gone out and said she needs to be honored for who she is, and therefore she needs to be paid better. But Eric, very little empathy coming from the ladies on this panel towards the legislators. But surely you do understand where these MPs are coming from, especially those who've been in Parliament before, coming from probably those who got re-elected. They were earning 710,000 shillings plus their allowances, which cumulatively, if you calculate, could come even up close to 1 million shillings a month. Going back down to 610,000 shillings, that is huge.
Fred, let me say a couple of things on this matter. Number one, this is one of the most interesting parliaments this country is going to get, quite evidently, because you can now see there is a rift between some of the things that they want to do vis-a-vis what the executive wants, or the executive wish
they've already differed
of the people. They've already started differing, which means this, that with all due respect, His Excellency the President cannot legislate. He can influence legislation, but he cannot legislate. However, Parliament can legislate even without approval from the President, because if he refuses to sign any bill, it can still pass, and it can still be passed into law.
And
so the question
is, in this instance, they can marshal even the 2/3 for this particular issue.
Correct. They can be able to marshal the 2/3, and it's going to pass, whether or not he likes it. So there's a difference between his legacy that he's now trying to build, using a populist approach, saying that this is what the people want, so I will give people what they want, vis-a-vis having members of Parliament actively participating in development of this country. Let us first understand that members of Parliament do not actually just sit in parliament to legislate. They also have responsibilities in their communities, in their counties, and in their constituencies. And more often than not, just like in any other developed countries, this is what happens. Because members of parliament spend a lot of time in parliament, and they still need to stay in touch with development of their constituencies, they open up representative offices in their constituencies. Which they fund from their pockets, because they're not funded by the government. So it means that they remove this money to sponsor their offices and sponsor office staff and the running of the offices. If you are to look at, for instance, in the UK, the system that they use, you see that parliamentarians are paid heftily. They are paid what? About 750,000, an equivalent, approximately. However, they are given offices, they are given stationery.
At constituency level or at the national level? Because we do understand all the legislators have offices.
At national level. Yes. But if they are given at national level, how many people from their constituencies will be able to access their offices at national level? We've got to be a bit realistic. So that is why they are saying, in as much as they have the opportunity to have an office at national level, they also need to have a representative office at the constituency level, which they fund themselves. Because it means that they need to keep in touch with the development projects that are going on. They need to keep in touch with local leaders, the MCAs, the governors, so as to be able to join hands and put a concerted effort towards development. And this money is actually funded from their pockets. So when they start saying that this particular cash that we are getting is not enough for us, we need to be a bit holistic as, in our approach towards them. Not to condemn them too much, but to see what are their needs. If at all you want to slash their salaries, yes, but give them some empowerment.
And that has been the biggest complaint by the legislators, that SRC did not even bother to consult with the Parliamentary Service Commission on this issue, that they have some needs that they would want to explain to the SRC before you determine how much they should earn. And probably if they got a chance, this is what they would have told the SRC, that these are our needs, this is what we do. Probably they would have negotiated that probably if you're going to cut our salaries, then can you facilitate us in this different way? Don't you think that they do have actually some sense in what they're saying?
Let's put this into perspective. It's only in Kenya that a new definition of a street beggar is that who earns 600 that's a new definition. In fact, the last time I was checking the dictionary, I didn't know that there's a new definition for that. That if you earn 620,000 plus a car allowance of 5 million plus a house allowance
that one was taken away.
Of 20 million.
The 5 million shilling grant was taken away.
20 million, then you become a street beggar. So that's a new definition of Kenya. Secondly, in Africa, when you comparatively analyze the salaries for members of parliament, Kenya is highly paid. Thirdly, the analogy and definition that we use our money to as handouts, it's addressing to them as leaders. They ought to now change the narrative. That it's not about handouts, it's about ideologies and how do you sell and market to your voters. But more important, it's an operation of the law. And this is where I have a challenge with our honorable members of parliament, and I'm very happy that the president is taking a stand and saying I will not sign into law. The 10th parliament, and after the new constitution, we passed the various commissions, and one of them was the SRC. So it's a product of parliament, the 10th parliament. The 11th parliament all along knew about the SRC. And when you look at the constitution and you look at the law, the SRC Act, they synergize one another in terms of defining of how we should reduce the wage bill. And this effort has been done by SRC is not only targeting the politicians, it's targeting everybody. But what my colleague said, and I really agree, is that Sarah Serem was very smart. Was very smart to ensure that she will only introduce the changes in the law when these people are going to campaign, because you can't introduce it when they're in parliament. So when they were applying for these jobs from their voters, it was published, it was in the Kenya Gazette, they knew that this is the salaries. Sarah Serem must have, I can assure you, talked to the Public Service Commission. That's a fact. So they knew what it is. Parliamentary Service Commission. So they knew what it is. And then even they're trying to put down the wage bill so that it's common and measurable to the standards of Kenyans. So if I was an MP vying to be a member of parliament at the time, then I would have said I don't want this job because the salary is less, and that will be a honorable thing to do. But at the end of the day, I will expect that some people will go to court. The push will not work very well. I'm happy that ODM has taken a stance and said that what Wanga was saying belongs to her. That's very good. So it means that there will be some discontent.
But the fact remains is that Gladys Wanga was not just speaking for herself. There are quite a number of people in that house that back her. They may not just come out publicly right now, but when it comes to actually voting and pushing for this inside the house, you will see the unanimity with which they will approach this issue. We've seen it before, them bulldozing when it comes to matters of their pay. Now, the question I want to ask is a bit different. When we see President Uhuru Kenyatta, who's very keen to secure his legacy, he's not seeking re-election, he wants to appeal to the general public, and so that we can actually remember him as a president who did this or the other. But now he's already encountering a problem here with these legislators that he hopes to use to actually help him secure his legacy. If at all they start fighting, this number that he already has, Jubilee has overwhelming numbers. But when it comes to their salaries, they will unite to the other side, and they will clash even with the president. Don't you think that the president runs a risk?
I don't believe he's running a risk, because at the end of the day, this is his last term, and the people who are watching, all of us, are very, very uncomfortable with this message. The fact of the matter is, an average Kenyan salary is no more than 150, 200. Now, as that individual... That's
not even average.
Yeah, that's on the higher end. We have people who are earning 15,000 shillings. They're expected to pay rent, to take their children to school, and to live a decent life. So I, as a Kenyan earning between 15 and 200,000, will ask, how is it that the individual that I have voted in is going to now go and decide what they're going to take home, as opposed to I, who applies for a job and I'm told this is how much you'll be paid? So the president is looking at what people want, and this is a change in our society. I am very excited that the voters are beginning to understand who those individuals in parliament are.
Yes, but when it comes to politics, there has to be give and take. And there'll be a lot of compromises. There's what the president wants, there's what the parliamentarians want. If they're going to work together, of course, the president has to compromise a bit, give some leeway to the members to be a bit comfortable, so that when he goes to them and says, help me with this, then they can return the favor.
First of all, we have to understand a couple of things, as my colleague said. Sarah Serem and her commission did not just wake up one day and decide to slash the MP's salary. It's something that was looked at considering the wage bill, which is very high in our country. And the president did not start this conversation now. He started this conversation in the other term that he was, last year, I think. He talked about it in Parliament in his joint address, that he was working to reduce the wage bill. So parliamentarians saw it coming. And this is something that we should embrace. Now, the president will be given a bill to sign. Of course, he said he will not assent to it. It will go back to Parliament. They will marshal 2/3 of the houses, because, of course, they're united by greed, and they will pass the bill regardless. But the president has an option. He has 164 members of Parliament that came through Jubilee. We have seen him push them over to do what he wants.
Those members are still keen on a higher salary as well.
Hold on, yes, there are
some of those who've already come out complaining are from the Jubilee party.
Let me tell you, the outgoing, in the last time, the president was looking for re-election, as you said. This time, it's hands-on. He will crack the whip, and he will leave no one behind. He will put his foot forward. He has nothing to lose, and is protecting his legacy. You said it's give and take. This time, the president is not here to joke with anyone.
Eric Wajoy, is it that simple? Because look at it this way, they're not looking for higher salary. They're just saying, do not reduce it the way SRC has reduced it. Just leave it the way it was for the 11th Parliament. We are not looking for any higher salary more than that, beyond that. Even allowances, just leave them the way they are. Even the laws that they are currently do not allow members of Parliament to actually increase their own salary. If at all they have to get that push, then it will have to be taken to the next Parliament. It will not be the 12th Parliament to decide how much they earn. But they could try to block this move by SRC to reduce the kind of pay. But politically, looking at it politically, do you think it's as simple as the president saying, I swear I will not sign it?
Fred, politics is the art of the possible. Anything can happen in politics. When it comes to their salaries, the MPs can get away with a bill to increase the salaries. Yes, they can, because it will become law.
Yes.
All they need to do is to legislate and gather enough numbers, and it can be able to pass.
Whether the president wants it or not.
Yes. If they have 2/3, and for instance, if the president is given a bill to sign, within 14 days he's required to sign and give his comments and send back to Parliament. And when Parliament receives those comments, they can either A, adopt the comments in full, or partially adopt it within 7 days, that is, or totally reject those amendments and send it back to the president within 7 days. Again, the president will have another 7 days to either assent to it or not. And if there's expiry of 7 days, if 7 days expire and he has not acted on it, then automatically it becomes law.
Yes.
That's a constitution. Yeah? So the parliamentarians know that they can get their way through.
They can bulldoze through.
But there's an important thing that we need to also look at. What influence does His Excellency the President, or will His Excellency the President have in the next general elections? Most of these parliamentarians will want a second term or a third term, or they may want to get something higher. They may want to go for some more work and responsibility in a different capacity. What influence will His Excellency the President have
in 2022?
In 2022? I think the person to really watch out for are people like Honorable Deputy President William Ruto, because he also has some good members of Parliament, some good representation of members of Parliament, and all what he needs to do is to marshal a few.
So if it will be the Deputy President saying, I swear...
It will be a very simple thing of saying, I'll give you what you want, and you give me what I want in 2022. And he can pull it through.
So the threat that the president might not really have...
I think what we need to do is to embrace the spirit of participatory governance.
Yes.
Even as you are adjusting these salaries, at least offer these members of Parliament the courtesy of engaging them by telling them that this is where we are and this is what we want to achieve. Let them give you feedback about the kind of challenges that they anticipate to have and how they'd want to be remedied. And then you can work together. But coming up with these roadside policies is a bit dangerous.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing. Politically, looking at 2022, Bwana Kakai Kisinja, is it appropriate for the president to come out, sorry for this, but say banging tables and telling Parliament, I will do, I will not do, right? It could be of no consequence.
No, it's actually not a roadside declaration. He's protecting the Constitution. And one of the key elements of the Constitution is to ensure that the spirit of the Constitution is to ensure that your wage bill is manageable. Because it's taxpayers at the taxpayers' expense. This money that we are paying members of Parliament is not from President Uhuru's pocket. It is the taxpayers' money. So, and his responsibility under the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution, to do that. And I think he has come out very clear in terms of ensuring that, look, if I win, and that's why he said, if I win this petition, that I will ensure that this has happened. Because it's his legacy. He has got nothing to lose. He's done. The next 4 years is gone. But he wants a legacy behind, to leave behind a legacy. I think for me, what's more important is whether he will be able to marshal the 164 members of Parliament under his umbrella to completely block the issue of the Senate. Number one, he will.
Do you think it is possible?
He will. That one he will. If you saw what happened with this new member of Parliament from Kiambu, she completely...
but she was alone.
She was alone
inside the house.
Because it's not the spirit of the Jubilee government. Number one. Number two, if he will be able to eat into the opposition, the NASA members of Parliament who are friendly to Jubilee. Remember, politics is all about alignments. Because some of them are going to align themselves with Jubilee in the next government. So it's all about alignment.
Remember, even ODM has said it does not support this push for Saleh. But it now becomes the president's problem.
It is his problem because he's the president.
If the MPs, now it's up to the president to convince MPs to actually marshal support.
And remember, he has a big number in Parliament. He will run away with so many things.
On other bills, probably. But on the issue of salaries for MPs...
Fred, we can never underestimate the power of political will. Political will is the most fundamental thing in doing anything, development, passing policies, passing law. It's the most important thing. And when it lacks, we as Kenyans have noticed it. Because important bills go without support. Like the gender bill, it went without support.
Despite the president and the ODM leader actually going to parliament.
Have you ever seen a bill that President Kenyatta is very passionate about and the whole of Jubilee is pushing? You will see Adan Duale crossing all lines, saying all manner of things without any apology. And that is what the president is offering this time. Political will is what he has brought to the table. And he is doing it with no apologies given.
Well, we just have to
and not that just alone. These members of parliament that, as you said, she was speaking on her own because no one is willing to come out and put their reputation and be antagonistic with the president.
Down to voting,
we are all about, they're all about their future interests.
Yes.
Politicians, that's all they do. And they do not risk the problem of being antagonistic with the president. I am telling you, this time, this 5 years, watch the president.
Remember David Murathe said, you're going to see a different president. Zero tolerance. This is what we're going to see now.
President who will take on
he will take
the
legislators. He will keep to his promises. He will ensure that development reigns supreme. Right now we have teachers threatening to go on strike. We have doctors as well who are asking for more money. This wage bill, exactly. The wage bill is not possible.
But maybe, you know, Parliament has the potential to actually paralyze the operations of the state. If at all, a rogue Parliament can decide to go either way because they have the power to legislate. If at all the President takes on legislators and they do not have a good relationship in this 5 years that is keen to secure his legacy, isn't there a risk?
But remember what Eric is pointing out. This is also about 2022. And these members of parliament want to come back. So it's about making sure that they are aligning themselves with the right person. If right now it is the president at this formative stage, then it will align itself that way. If it's the deputy president, then they will go that way. And I don't think the deputy president also wants to disagree with the president at this point right now. We had a panelist here a couple of days ago telling us that maybe 2018, 2017 we'll see a difference in the deputy president. We'll also see a difference in parliament, but not now. Yes.
Wow. Well, now we're still waiting because even as we talk about their salaries, they're yet to be sworn into office. It was a bit premature. But when it comes to recalling, if at all they go and bulldoze, there's a law that allows the electorate to recall a member of parliament. We've not seen any member who's been recalled so far. How easy is it?
The law on recall is anchored in the Constitution. When you look at Chapter 6 of the Constitution, Chapter 6 of the Constitution lays out the basis on what are the key principles and elements that is expected of a member of parliament or a leader. And if you breach any of those that are enumerated under Chapter 6, then you go into what you call a recall. You can recall your member of parliament because of integrity issues. You can because if they maneuver around these issues of salaries, then it becomes an integrity question. So then you can recall them. Now the only challenge with the Constitution and the legal provisions of recall clause is a little bit more complicated because you have to go to High Court. You have to go to High Court and prove that this person did not breach the tenets of Chapter 6.
So it becomes a court process.
Yes, it becomes a court process. You need to prove that, and it becomes a court process. Once you have that court order, then you can now start the process of recall. So that's the only challenge of recall. But it doesn't mean it cannot happen. It can happen.
Yes, there was already been threats against Gathoni wa Muchomba that should be recalled. Of course, people talking on social media, nothing tangible yet. But you have to wait for her to be sworn in first before you can recall her.
We need to be a bit realistic in Kenya. We know for a fact that there is no member of parliament that has ever been recalled. We know for a fact there is no time that parliament refused to increase their salaries. In terms of some people refused to vote for it. They've all overwhelmingly passed it.
Apart from this one.
So that's what I'm saying, that this will be a very interesting parliament. This will be a very interesting parliament. We want to see how they're going to navigate through this. But more importantly, we need to also understand that Kenyans are very sharp people. They have already seen the history of this country ever since 2002. That no political party comes into power to seek re-election on the same platform. Since 2002, each political party that has tried to come into power has rejuvenated or changed or rebranded into a different outfit. And right now, this is what is going to happen also in 2022. So you have people who are allied to the opposition that will realign themselves. You have people who are allied to the ruling party who are going to realign themselves for the 2022 endgame. So the question is, what direction are we taking as a country towards 2022? Now, most of these members of parliament, and we need to be a bit realistic about it, have discovered that they need to start having tangible development projects in their own areas of territory, for instance, in constituencies and community levels. And they know that the best way to fulfill this is by having representation or a representative office at the ground. So they need not just for mobilization of development projects, but also for mobilization and in anticipation for the 2022.
They are starting their campaigns.
They start their campaigns now.
And it is
but because they don't have that much time to be on the ground all the time, the most logical thing would be now to start opening up offices. So it's a new system that many people are going to adopt. And once we go towards that direction, you will see that not only now, but within the next couple of months, they will try to readjust their salaries again higher in one way or another. Because
well, at least the law doesn't allow them to do that. They may block the SRC pay, but they cannot. They cannot adjust their salaries higher.
But remember, their functions is to what? Legislate.
But they can come up with
any bill.
But Fred, Kenyans need to understand we are on our own. These individuals have already started to look for means to get money to campaign in 2022, and they've not even been sworn in, for heaven's sake. Instead of starting to think, what can I improve the people who voted for me? How can I improve their lives? What bills can I introduce in Parliament? How do we achieve the 2/3 gender rule in Parliament this time? The Senate needs more women. Parliament needs more women. No one is talking about these things, and I am glad that the president is stamping his foot down
start with the money.
To say that, you know, I will not.
Let's start with the money.
Anyway. Remember, you pay for this thing through taxes. You pay for this thing.
Focus is definitely on the Houses of Parliament, both the National Assembly and the Senate, which are having their very first sittings on Thursday next week, August 31st. It's time now to take a break, but when we come back, we continue discussing about Parliament. Of course, the issues about the race for Speaker. Opposition MPs have already said they're going to skip that first session for their own reasons. There's a new law shielding the House business from court action. What kind of effect is that? Plus, Okiya Omtata has already gone to court and introduced a bill seeking to change our electoral system and so that we could adopt the electoral college like how they do it in the US. It will need money as well. That after the break.